Alright you guys, and welcome back to another video, and today we have a pretty exciting one. Today I wanted to compare the Paladin with the Stalin's attack. Now this video comes as a suggestion from you guys in the comments down below. I really enjoy it when you guys leave suggestions down there about comparisons that you want to see me do. And this one makes a lot of sense because both of these ships are available right now with the in case you missed it sale. So if you're considering between these two ships which one you want to buy, this is a pretty good video to do that. Now, I think what's kind of interesting about this comparison as well is the price. I usually don't do comparisons for ships that are so different in size class, but because the price is about $30 difference between these two ships right now with store credit, I think it makes a lot of sense to factor in ships that have that $50 differential and fall in a similar role. Now again, the Stalin's attack is a much bigger ship and probably designed for more players. Essentially, I think you could successfully pilot a Paladin with just two people. You're probably going to want more people on the attack, but I do know a lot of people that solo the Stalin's max. So really, I think this comparison is going to come down to your gameplay decisions. Paladin is kind of like a heavy fighter, in my opinion, with the way that CIG has designed it rather than a gunship. But we're going to get right into that. So I want to start off by moving into the interiors and talking a little bit about the features they have. Then I want to go over the firepower, what kind of weaponry these two ships have, and last I want to talk about value and price. So let's get right into this video. We're going to move over to take a look at these two ships interiors. Alright, so first we're looking at the Paladin here. As you can see up at the front, we have the bridge with your pilot and co-pilot, right? So this seat over here is going to allow you to fly the ship, and this sheet over here is going to allow you to control the primary turret on top that has the ability to move from the top to the bottom using a rail system, right? So this secondary seat here is the co-pilot and gunner seat. This is kind of like the only other player you really need, in my personal opinion. The two seats on the lower deck are designed to control the guns on either side of this ship. Now, CIG has said that the pilot can control these two gun turrets on either side of the ship. So, realistically, you technically only need two players to successfully gun this ship, right? Your co-pilot is going to control the main turret, and the pilot can control these two guns. Now, these are, I guess, dual use. So again, if you have two friends that want to operate these guns, they can do that, and they will be on the lower bridge. But let's finish up on this level here. You have the bathroom over here. You have a ladder here. I just passed that. Then you have a kitchenette over here, which would be on the left. Staircase in the middle. This big room at the back here is a armory. I believe you're going to be able to have all your weapons in here. There's a seat and storage lockers. Then you have a bunk room over here. So there's going to be more likely two bunks over here and two bunks over here, which we can't see because the wall's removed. Then you have a little desk. Then at the back, you have your component access, right? Your component's going to be back there. So moving downstairs now, you have the two gunner seats. Again, these two seats, the one on this side is going to control this gun. The one on this side is going to control this gun. But again, if there's no one down here, the pilot's going to be able to control both of these guns, right? So then you have the ladder, which goes upstairs, and the stairs that go upstairs. Now, I think because this ship has stairs rather than an elevator, I don't really think you need a ladder. In most cases, the ladder is very helpful on ships that have elevators if the elevators are kind of buggy or an issue. But on a ship that has stairs, I don't really see the use to have a ladder. I mean, you can slide down it a little bit faster, but I think that this could have probably been better used space. Then you have just like a lot of hallway here. There's nothing really going on in this area. You might have components on the wall here. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, this whole center section is just for the staircase and this hallway. Then at the back here, you have your kind of your suit locker room. You have your 4 suit lockers here, then the side entrance to the ship. So there's not really a whole lot going on the interior of this ship. And again, a lot of it is mostly just hallways in my personal opinion. Now we've seen the Paladin's interior. Let's go over and take a look at the Starlancer TAC's interior to see the difference in features. Alright, so we don't have as many photos for the Starlancer TAC, but we have this kind of cutaway here. So right at the back is where we're going to start, and you have the same back area as the Starlancer Max. So that means you have 96 SCU of cargo grid space. Then you have a vehicle garage in the middle that you can put more 32 SCU boxes in. Okay, then you're going to have the 2 elevators on either side, again just like the Starlancer Max, and then you're going to have the engineering area at the back on the 2nd floor. Forward of the cargo and vehicle garage, you're going to have your med bay. This has 2 medical beds that you'll be able to respawn at. We don't know if CIG is going to keep med bed respawning in for 1.0. For that functionality to essentially be there the entire time, but I suspect that this ship isn't too far away in the development pipeline because it doesn't really have any proprietary tech that or any blockers that would prevent CIG from releasing the ship. So I think that we will be able to use these beds as respawnable areas when the ship is released. Then in front of that we have 4 jump seats on one side and 4 jump seats on the other side, I believe. So you should have 8 jump seats total. And what CIG has said about jump seats is that we are going to be able to store our loadouts in jump seats, right? So if you have a backpack or heavy armor, normally you won't be able to sit in a seat with that stuff on. With jump seats you will be able to. Then you have a door gun here. This whole platform that the jump seats are on lowers down, kind of like the cargo area of the Starlancer Max, right? So you can lower the troops down, and in flight they can use these door guns to kind of defend any people fighting on the ground while people are deploying from these jump seats. Then you have the turrets here. So you have a turret on each side of this area right here in the middle, where you have 2 size 5s guns on there, right? And then in front of that is where you're going to have your forward elevator and docking collar. And then that's going to go up into your armory, where you have the suit lockers and gun racks, just like in the Starlancer Max. All right. And then on the 2nd floor, you've got the bridge here. This is exactly the same as the Starlancer Max. But then you have the escape pod room, again, just like on the Starlancer Max. And then this component room where you have the elevator and the ladder. Then things diverge a little bit. You have the habitation area with the kitchenette over here. I'm assuming this blacked out area is the bathroom, where they've just kind of cut it off. And then at the back here that you could barely kind of see, I'll zoom in, you have bunk beds. So you're going to have 4 bunk beds in the back here. You have some storage lockers here and a bench. And then you're making your way to the Fury hangar. And this is strictly just going to be able to fit a Fury. Some other players has kind of looked at the metrics and it's too small to fit anything else really. But you might be able to track to beam other small vehicles up here like hover bikes and whatnot. I think that the Fury is a very capable light fighter, so being able to carry a little snub with you, again, this is kind of the idea around having a snub with something like the Andromeda, right? Where you have this parasite vehicle that can kind of go out and do a little bit of defense for the ship, or maybe you can land this somewhere and then have a runabout ship so you can explore settlements around a certain area, or just have like a lookout ship that can kind of spot dangers for the main ship. There's a ton of different options that you have with a parasite ship like this, and having a parasite garage, right? And of course, then you have the engineering at the back. So you have all your components and everything. Again, that is just like in the Starlancer Max. So you have a lot of features with this ship over the Paladin. You have that cargo grid storage. You have the vehicle bay. You have the med bay. You have the jump seats. You have the armory that's similar, but you have escape pods, right, as well. And then you have the Fury hangar. So that is a ton of features and amenities, again, for only about $30 more. Now let's take a look at these two ships' specifications. Okay, we got the spec list up here. We've got one large shield, right? And then the rest are medium components. And then for weapons, we have one turret with 4 size 5s on it, and 2 turrets with 2 size 4s on them. Then we have the missiles down there, right? So, strictly speaking, not bad firepower for a essentially, I'm going to do quotes, 2-person ship. Technically a 4-person ship, but you really don't need those 2 gunners on the bottom of the bridge. Again, if you have 4 people and they want to do something, you can give them control of the guns, but realistically speaking, the pilots are just going to use these 4 side guns here, and then the co-pilot's going to operate the turret. In my personal opinion, I feel like that's how most people is going to operate this ship. I don't think they're going to put those 2 players in the gunner seat. More likely, if you're rolling with 4 people, you'll probably have those 2 players in another ship, right? You could essentially put them in another Paladin, right? And you have 2 Paladins, and that would be a better use, in my opinion, of 4 players. You have a lot more firepower that way, that's for sure. But yeah, now let's take a look at the Starlancer TAC's specifications and see how it stacks up. Alright, so now we have the specification and components for the Starlancer TAC. This ship right here has basically large components for the power plant, medium for the quantum and jump drive. Okay, but it has 2 large shield generators, so it has 1 more large shield generator than the Paladin, right? And then it has a 1 large cooler, medium gravity generator. So it has kind of a mix of large and medium, but what's important here is that you have 1 more large shield generator of the Paladin. Now let's get into the weapons, because this is where things get a little bit more spicy, but kind of interesting. So pilot control weapons, you have dual size 4s. So you have dual 2 size 4s for the pilot, just like the Starlancer Max. Essentially, you have kind of a bank of 2 guns on this side, a bank of 2 size 4s on this side. So exact same hard point loadout as the Paladin's pilot controlled guns. So the pilot is going to be able to control the same amount technically of firepower as a Paladin, but you have a lot more turrets on this, right? So you have a turret on the top in the front here with 2 size 5s on it, no, 2 size 4s on it. Then a turret in the back here with 2 size 4s on it. Then you have a turret on the side here with 2 size 5s on it, and another turret with 2 size 5s. So we can see that here in terms of weapons. Again, the 2 dual link turrets with the 2 size 4s on them for the pilot. Then you have 2 remote turrets with 2 size 4s and 2 manned turrets with 2 size 5s. So in terms of size 5s, you have the same number of size 5s, but you have double amount of size 4s because of those remote turrets on the top. And those remote turrets can be operated by 2 players on the bridge. So you will need more players to fully gun this ship. Realistically, you're probably going to need 6 players total, right? Pilot, co-pilot that can do the engineering for the ship. Then you have 2 manned gunners and then 2 remote gunners. So if you want to fully operate this ship to its full effectiveness, probably around 6 players. But you could get away with 3, with the pilot controlling the front guns, and then the 2 remote turrets operators that can go between operating the top turrets and the manned turrets below. Because if you're fighting in space, you're probably gonna need, or you're probably gonna want to use the remote turrets and have everyone on the bridge. But if you're fighting on the planet, uh having those man turrets on the bottom of the ship probably makes more sense as you're dropping off troops, to have that kind of firepower there, right? So strictly speaking, again, as kind of that heavy fighter role, I think the Paladin makes a lot of sense, because 2 people could get in a Paladin and kind of have a very good amount of DPS, right? You will need more people for the stance attack, but overall, if you do have all of those guns manned, and let's say you're going up, you're using it for piracy or something, right? You're using this as a piracy ship, which I think this would be a very good piracy ship, because you have med bays in case your boarding party gets killed. You have a snub fighter again, so you kind of soften up your target. You have a big cargo hold, so you can get whatever is out there. And then you have the jump seats, so your boarding party can have their loadout ready to go, as well as the airlock if you want to go out the side and do anything like that. So I think as a piracy ship, the TAC is looking really good. I don't think the Paladin would work for that use case at all. Again, it doesn't have a cargo grid or anything like that, no vehicle storage. So it really comes down to what you're going to use these ships for, and in my opinion, the Paladin kind of seems like a heavy fighter more than anything. Uh, it's of course not going to maneuver like a heavy fighter, but I kind of see it more in that role. What a lot of people would have probably used the Redeemer for. So right now, and I think I've done a comparison of the Redeemer and the Paladin, right? And I think if you're going that route, the Paladin is probably a better choice than something like the Redeemer. Again, they downgunned the Redeemer. So the Redeemer now has 4 size 4s and 4 size 3s, and then the pilot has 4 size 3s. So the Redeemer does have the amount of turrets for it, right? But things have changed around a little bit. So if you're going with 2 players, you can be pretty effective in my opinion with something like the Paladin, because you have that large shield and you have those 4 size 5s with one person controlling it, and then you have those 4 size 4s, one person controlling it. But for me personally, if I was looking at the price, now again, let's take a step back and look at the price and talk about the value a little bit here, right? The TAC is $30 more right now with store credit, $330 versus $300. So if you're primarily a solo player and you just maybe take a buddy along once in a while, I think the Paladin kind of does make a little bit more sense, if I'm being realistic. But if you play with more players, the TAC is going to be a great kind of baby, what's that ship, baby Odyssey, right? Because the Odyssey has that hangar, the Odyssey has med bays, the Odyssey has armory. So a lot of those features that you might use on that, and I don't think a lot of people are going to use the Odyssey for piracy, but again, and this is something I didn't think of at first, again, using the TAC for piracy, that it to me is kind of like a slam dunk ship that you're going to want there, because I know a lot of people who use the Corsair for piracy, they, they would try to park the ursa medevac inside of there so they can have a respawn point, but that's already built in with the TAC, right? So again, if your body party gets killed, just respawn, have them grab their loadout, and they could go back, they could go back in there. So I think that's going to be a major advantage. I think a lot of people who play in groups are going to look at the TAC, and there's really no comparison in that aspect. So I think this was a very interesting comparison with two very interesting ships at a very similar price point at this, on sale at the same time here for In Case You Missed It sale. I think the In Case You Missed It sale is almost over, so I don't know if you're gonna have that much more time to make your decision, but I think it was a really good suggestion. I want to, hear more suggestions for comparisons you guys have in the comments down below in terms of specifications, role, value. What do you guys want to see me compare? I do have some more videos planned in the comparison series. I think it's really interesting. I'm getting excited about, the potential of this game this year. I know, I don't want to say too much about the performance right now, but I hope that CIG are going to be able to put their heads down and get it to a much better place where a lot of people can be more happy with what they're getting out of it. Silver meshing, in my opinion, is working pretty good. So I don't want to speak too much about that, but I do want to hear about what you guys want to see me compare in upcoming videos. Again, I have, heard a lot more suggestions from you guys, so there's going to be more comparison videos, that's for sure. But that's going to be it for me in today's video, you guys. Like I always say at the end of these videos, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Salute.